Hey everybody, it's Jessica and welcome back to the Ebony Escape, and today I'm going to be commentating over the BTS Fake Love fan art video that I made recently.
Shall we begin?
So when I was making this fan art, I was particularly inspired by Matisse, his particular painting Dance 1, because he was in the midst of Fauvism, and he was saying that at that time, the artist didn't necessarily have to worry about hyper-realistic details, and they just had to worry about capturing the emotions and feel of the painting. So he was trying to capture that with the energy of his lines and the colors and stuff like that, and he wasn't worried about hyper-realistic detail. I was focused on this as well, and so I approached with a similar method by blocking in the members with just big blocks of color. And I started with purple as like a representation of army, and I wanted that to be my base, so I started with like a dark purple, and then I was going to try to work into the different colors and shades necessary from there, like working from a black purple instead of like a pure black. And so as I was doing that, I was thinking of Matisse, and I was also thinking of this artist that I found on Instagram. Their name is Marion, but the Instagram account that they have is called xscaping, and she actually made fan art from the Permission to Dance concert for BTS. And she has this really fun flat graphic style where she's able to convey form without necessarily focusing on trying to make the figures look rounded, but she gives you this fun flat graphic style where she defines form with color instead of like cross hatching and like trying to define values with like specific strokes. She'll use big forms of color to show you this is where the form is. And she will sometimes do like some blending and some gradients, but it's very minimal. She will usually focus on putting big blocks of color in to show you this is the form in general, this is where the light is, this is where the dark is, and that's how you understand the form. It kind of made me think of like some Impressionists, kind of made me think of Matisse a little bit. So between those two, that really inspired like my process for this and the techniques that I was using. And I did make a few changes here just in the pose with the fact that you usually can't see Kobe in the back, but I raised Jungkook and Jin's arms a little bit just so that his face could be seen. Cause like, of course, you can like see his legs down there when you can tell that he's standing back there, but I wanted it to be that you could see his face. Cause all the other members, their bodies are more prominent and seen and out there, but his is at the back. So I just kind of wanted to make him a little bit more noticeable and to emphasize his presence a little more by having Jin and Jungkook's arms raised so that you could see him in the back. And so basically I started off with my sketch and blocking in the forms and then refining it by adding in color or subtracting color. And there were some occasions where I used like a pencil brush to like get like, for instance, Jungkook's jawline started. And of course it got more refined as I went on and carved out the forms more. But this is essentially how I continued. I decided to use color itself as my tool for sculpting and taking away, as opposed to just using the eraser tool. And that really helped me understand how you can draw in a different way, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like focusing with pencil strokes first like I usually do, but that you can just use color in big gestured forms and then make it as specific as you want to as you go. And so that's essentially how I worked through this piece. Also a lot of custom purple gradients that I made and some that I used while I was working on the piece. And so that really helped with like defining light, and it gave the piece like a fun kind of style, a fun flat graphic style that I was working with as well. And at this point I'm working with lights and defining the forms more. And while this is happening, I could talk to you more about why I chose to draw BTS's Fake Love final pose. And essentially, I would need to tell you how I found BTS. So last year, if you were watching my 2020 and 2021 in review video, you'd know that last year was pretty hard for me. And I found BTS like completely on accident. And so I saw Namjoon first. I did not know he was Namjoon. I did not know what BTS was. For all I knew, that meant behind the scenes. And so I was just scrolling through TikTok, and I only made a TikTok account because I was trying to advertise my art. But I found this whole other avenue of creators and people who were making original content that I didn't know about that weren't on like YouTube or anything like that. So I was having fun looking at content as well as making content. So someone shared this compilation of this guy in an all-white outfit with a turquoise microphone and a buzz cut. And so I assumed he was an entertainer, but I didn't know what for. Wasn't looking at the hashtags. I wasn't informed enough or high-thinking enough to do that. So I was just like, okay, well, this person likes this person, and I don't know who that person is, but hey, they're kind of cute. Leave a like, move on to the next thing, and look at a drawing video or whatever I was doing. And then I think TikTok's algorithm assumed that I knew who that was, that I knew that was Namjoon, and then they threw all the BTS things at me, but I didn't know what was happening. I just knew that the same 7 people kept showing up on my FYP, and I didn't know why. And so I decided to look at the hashtags and Google Run BTS, and the rest is history. And now Love Yourself is my favorite album, and I've got a Love Yourself t-shirt. And so I was really hyped to see the concert, because when I was going through that hard time last year, they essentially helped to pull me out of a funk. The funk didn't go away, but they helped me with the funk. And I was still experiencing like some art block and stuff like that early this year, so I was really excited at the idea of being able to see a live stream of their concert when they announced it. And at first, I didn't really think that hard about it, but then a little later, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go. And so I went, saw the live stream of the concert at a theater in my hometown in the United States, and it was so fun. There were a bunch of other armies there, and clapping, singing, carrying on. Talked to some people and about their biases and how they found BTS and stuff like that, and it was fun. But I was particularly excited to see the Fake Love and Black Swan performance, just because I think that Fake Love is so deeply emotional and Black Swan is so elegant. But of the two, I really love the ending pose of Fake Love, so I decided to focus on this because I thought it was such an emotional, compelling pose. And I thought that it looked really great, and it would be really cool to see what that would look like if I were to try to interpret that through my own art. So I decided to focus on that here. And as you can see now, when I'm drawing, I'm carving in more of the details, and I've got the basic forms down, and I've worked on all those gradients to give you an impression from light to dark. And I was really happy with how I was able to capture their poses here. And so what I learned while drawing this was how to engage in using big forms and broad gestures, and to get more specific as you go. Kind of like when I was doing an oil painting in college and I had to do a reproduction of Manet's Spanish ballet. That similar thing happened here. And so it stretched my brain because I haven't done a pose or a group of figures this complex since I was in college. And so it was really great, and I was really happy to create this work, and I really stretched my art style, and it really stretched what I could do with my work. And so I was really happy to do this. And so I'm really proud of the work that I was able to create here, and how I was able to use something that wasn't as hyper-realistic, detail intensive, but still able to carry over a pose to be able to communicate that these are human figures, and to give you the emotions and the weighted heaviness of this pose as well. And I'm grateful that I went to the concert, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have felt like a reignition of my spark, and kind of a slowly pulling me out of my like art block and art funk and stuff like that. And this has only inspired me to want to make more of my work and create more of my own original stuff. And that means working on book 2 of my series, Guardians of Massive Memory. I'm writing that right now. And I also want to make more fan art like this, where I'm appreciating not just musicians, but people who've made work or done something that has heavily inspired me, or made me feel just inspired as a creative and made me feel encouraged. And BTS is definitely one of those groups for me. And even though I just found them last year, they've been inspiring to watch. And as I learn more about them and look at their music, it's not just entertaining as just listening to their music or watching Run BTS, but they're actually an inspiring group of individuals, and I hope that they continue to have success in their music career. And I'm just thankful that I'm able to have the opportunity to watch them make great work, and they've inspired me to make great work as well. Also, at this point, drawing the hands was so sinister, because hands are the bane of every artist, and I struggled, but nevertheless, I persisted, and the hands they're good enough. And I'm happy with what I was able to accomplish with them. But, thank you guys so much for watching. And if you want to continue keeping up with more of the art that I make and the other original dreams that I have that I'm trying to manifest and work on, in addition to writing book 2 and making more of this like Nefelibata fan art series, then I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and to my blog at ebonyescape.com. I'll see y'all later. Bye.